As part of the education about deliverance, let me first say that in the material that we prepared for you, particularly in the manual that you've downloaded, we've indicated that deliverance can probably be grouped into three fairly distinct groups. While the purpose of all deliverance is the same, to set them free and to allow the roadblocks between them and the Lord Jesus Christ to be removed, and for them to be the person that Jesus Christ created them to be, there are many different ways for that to be accomplished. And in the reading material, I've mentioned that I have probably 70 books on my bookshelf about deliverance, and in every one of them, the minister takes a little different approach to deliverance. That's not unusual. There's no set model. There's many types of preaching and teaching, and so likewise there's many types of ministry of deliverance. I think the Lord picks out from us our gifts and our talents and molds those together and creates for us a ministry for those of us who do a lot of this. So the point I'm making here is that I'm going to give you here three different examples of deliverance. The first one is what we call a crusade type deliverance, where the person is in a crusade, they're manifesting. This one happens to be in Tanzania, and we call this one the Abercrombie Girl. You'll see her at the end apparently delivered. She's praising God and so forth, but you know, I was not there, obviously, but I wonder, because I've seen a lot of this in Africa, where people manifest and the pastor and the elders gather around and they holler and scream and yell at the demons to come out, and then the person will go to sleep, so to speak, and they'll assume that the demons are gone, and so then they'll celebrate, and then pretty soon the person wakes up, and sometimes they're so frightened that they run away. But in this case, you'll see the results of her praising the Lord, but you know, I seriously wonder whether they have delivered her, or whether only some of the demons have gone, or whether she's just woke up and now she's her true self, and it's difficult to tell from the video. And so those are some of the problems with crusade type ministry, where you're trying to deliver a number of people, maybe in one place in a tent. It's noisy, a lot of confusion, a lot of demonstration, but you're going to see that, and you're going to see that in many churches, even in the U.S. If you'll read the material by Pablo Batari, you'll see that even whether it's at crusades or whether it's pastoral, that there's certain steps you should go through, and that if you'll do that, the chances of them being delivered are virtually 100%. So watch that one and gather some ideas and opinions about it, and then we'll begin to ask you some questions about it in our online conference discussion area.
It all started with this guy, Jeff Jansen. The whole thing was pretty simple, really. I go with him to film a crusade in Tanzania, and I get to go on a safari when it was all over. Now let me give you a little picture of just how naive I was when I began making this movie. I thought I would fly in, film some big crowd scenes where everyone goes wild for God. We'd capture a ton of salvations and go home looking like conquering heroes for Jesus. But something happened to me on the way to a simple film shoot. I quickly learned that something far more important than simply playing church was happening around the world. For me, It would start here in Tanzania, in a little white tent. It would ultimately lead to people and places that must be seen to be believed. I was about to be introduced to the real world, and my little Christian bubble would be destroyed in the process. But let's get back to that white tent, shall we? This is where it all began. We were setting up for the first night of the crusade when I noticed this little guy way off to the side. I figured it was a seating area for the hearing impaired. So the crusade starts. Singing, dancing, preaching, altar call. Just like clockwork. But then Jeff prays and suddenly I'm no longer at a crusade. I'm in a war zone. And that's when I realized this tent wasn't for the hearing impaired. This was the demon tent. Now there was one girl who helped me make sense of all this. That's her, right there. I call her Abercrombie Girl. After she came forward and Jeff prayed his prayer, she started to manifest a demon. So they whisked her away to the demon tent, and that's kind of where we were introduced. I never thought I'd be face to face with a demon-possessed person. It was horrible enough to experience, until later I had someone translate what she was actually saying. This went on for so long I finally had to step outside to get some fresh air, but it wasn't any better out there. I thought Christianity was supposed to be easy, like the ultimate self-help experience. God would swoop in and take all of our problems away if only we believed in Him. The reality, this reality, was startling. This was my first exposure to the war, the Great War of the Invisible. These people weren't suffering from mental illness or wild imaginations. Abercrombie Girl wasn't insane. She was caught in the middle of something much bigger than her.
There can be no question that we are at war. We're fighting a spiritual war in the world of ideas and in the world of the demonic.
And if you believe in an all-powerful, all-good God, how can you not believe we're at war? Because I think it's rather obvious that this world doesn't reflect completely the character of an all-good, all-powerful God.
Well, I spent my whole life not wanting to know too much, because knowledge meant responsibility. But once I saw for myself that there was something beyond me, that I was in the middle of a spiritual war, whether I wanted to be or not, I had to know more. The only thing... Oh yeah, remember Abercrombie Girl? I figured you probably wanted to know how her story ended.
Sing, 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 if you lost in years. Sing, 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 if you shed any tears. Make a brand new start, and the broken heart sing. Let it heaven,